Clients First Business Solutions. This demonstration is going to cover the Epicor 9 Business Activity Query, building a simple BAQ. ERP systems require a great deal of data to be loaded. There needs to be an easy way to get the data out of the ERP systems. In Epicor, the data extract is the business activity query, also known as the BAQ. Let's take a look at the BAQ screens. So I'm going to go into Executive Analysis, Setup, Business Activity Query. There's several tabs. We'll go through them as I create a BAQ. I'm going to do a new. I'm going to call it Demo 1. It tells you who the author is. If I want to share it with other people, I click on this. If I want it to be across multiple companies, not cross them, but each company can run it, it's global. Cross company says that I can use data out of each of the companies in one report, a combined report. And updatable says I can update the data. We are not going to cover updatable dashboards in this demo. It will be done at a later one. So I now save it. I go to the phrase builder. Here's my list of tables. I can scroll. If I know the name, I can just enter some letters. So I'm going to choose customer and drag it across. Over here you see the fields, names and descriptions if you make the screen bigger. When you display, you can also see the fields. Let me go back to Phrase Builder. Here's the table list. Right now I only have one table. Relations will be listed here if I had any. I don't. And I can put a criteria. For instance, I'm going to do a new criteria. I only want let's sort it alphabetically. Customer type. This is where it's a customer, a suspect, or a prospect. And I only want customers. Oh, sorry, I chose the wrong one. So I now go to display. I want to display the customer ID, the name, the territory, the country. I can also sort this one alphabetically. I want the customer type. If I click on this, I get my user-defined fields, the checkboxes. If it's not clicked, you don't get your user-defined fields. That's an easy one to forget. I'm going to go back to the non-sorted one. It's in table layout. And I'm also going to add the credit hold. I'm going to save this. Since I'm skipping, this is not an updatable one, I get to skip the update. While I'm here, I can sort it by name. And I could also do a filtering here if I wanted to. So now I'm going to go to Analyze and run a test. So here are my customers. The type is customer. Credit hold, country, territory, name. Back here, if I decided that I didn't like type and I wanted to say customer type, I can also save that, come back to Analyze, clear the grid, and test. And now the heading changed. You can also run an analysis, and it says the syntax is okay. I'm going to go ahead and add another table. You can do it later on. I'm going to load the customer contact table. I now have 2 tables in the list. I now have a relationship, and it knew the fields to link on, so it did. It already built the link. So I can now go to the contact and get the name and phone number of the contacts. Let's save it, go to Analyze. I'm going to analyze it again. Syntax is okay, test. So there are now 4 contacts for Addison. I've decided that I really don't want customer contact. Well, before I do that, I can change the parent-child and flip it over, which in this case doesn't make sense, but I could, so I'm going to change it back. If I wanted to summarize the table, I could choose each, first or last, just get the first contact. So now when I save it and test it, I'm only going to get the first contact of every customer ID. And it states first here and each here. And this also tells you I've got a criteria. So the picture view helps with the tabs down here. I'm going to go back to each because the first, in my case, doesn't make that much a difference. Okay. I've showed this to the sales manager and he's decided he doesn't want the contact information at all. So I'm going to go delete it. Okay. When I go back to display, all the customer contact fields are missing. I can come up here and move this up, move it down, or they decide they don't want the credit hold, so I can take it off the grid. Not sure why it's taken twice to do this, but it is. Save it, analyze, and test. Where used would tell me if it's on a dashboard, a quick search, a report, configurator, booking list, or a BAQ query list. Right now, this BAQ is not on any other screen. One of these boxes would come up red and say it's also in use. Okay. So if I go to BAQ search, I can put the customer ID in and the territory ID in, and anywhere there's a customer ID entry, I can add this BAQ to the search. So I'm going to save this. Let's go do another BAQ. So I'm going to do a new demo 02. I'm going to share it. I'm going to go to the phrase builder. I want orders. So I'm going to grab the order head. And I'm going to grab the order detail. It built my link automatically because it knows it's there. Let's say that I added a UD table. UD table 5, and it's based off the order head. Epicor does not know that. So I'm going to make a new link. And I made a mistake here just to show you that order head should be the parent. So I'm going to reverse this. You have to highlight it and reverse it. So there. Okay. I'm going to come here, go to table relationships. It doesn't know about it. I'm going to do a new. Type in company. You always put company as the first section of the key. I'm going to do new, order num, and I'm going to call it key 1. And I'm going to save this. Now, UDO5 in my database is a completely blank database, so if I come over here and do a display, order num, order date, terms code, and order line, part number, description, unit price, and quantity. Save it, analyze, test. I'm not going to get anything because I have no UDO5 tape records. So I'm going to come back to phrase builder and make this an outer join. We discussed joins in the BAQ part 1. So go back to that and refresh yourself if you're not sure what I'm doing here. But this says, give me every order head regardless if there's UDO5. So now I come over here and test, and I now have data. So I'm now going to go delete UDO5. I have a unit price and I have a quantity. Let's go, but the user wants an extended price. So I'm going to make a field called extended price. It's a decimal. I'm going to call it extended price on the label. And I'm going to come up here to the database fields. Let's make this a little bigger. And it's order quantity times unit price. I can check syntax, and it's okay. Save it. And now when I run a test, the extended price is 23 times 500. 1 times 950 is 950. So you can do basic math with the calculated fields. You can do much more with the calculated fields also. You can do aggregates, you can do string manipulation. I'll go more into detail, date conversions at a later time, comparisons, conditional, if, then, else. That'll be a video of its own. But I wanted to show you that it's there. It's there, so there's a pretty good help section if you need to get more detailed in it. So I'm going to save that. So we wrote 2 BAQs. I did want to show you that there are, sorry about that, there are many BAQs already written by Epicor. I've got extras because this is a demo package, but you should have over 100 yourself. They'll start with a Z. These Z ones, for instance. So I happen to do a sales order query, and I wrote one. Excuse me, but there's already one there. So let's take a look at this one. It's using order head and customer. There's the in-use flag. So when I go look at the display, it has many more fields than I chose. Instead of starting from scratch, this may be the way to go. You come and find one that Epicor wrote, and then you do actions and copy the query. It asks for a new name. And now I can start removing fields. Again, that last one was being used, so you didn't want to change it, because somebody may be using that on another dashboard. Sometimes you have to move them around to make it visible, easier to read. That kind of line kind of messed things up, so you move it over. So that's a look at BAQs. It's a very powerful tool. This is used for feeding data to dashboards and to crystal reports using BAQR. Or you just write a quick query. They need a quick number, and once you get good at this, you can go in and I generally have one called Dale that as people ask questions, I'll delete the tables and add the new tables, and that way I don't have 50 one-time queries out there. Well, that concludes this demonstration. I appreciate your time for watching, and thank you very much.